Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Releasing Tension to Free Your Voice. My name is Lisa Danylchuk. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist and experienced registered yoga teacher. That's what those letters stand for. And this is Molly Mahoney, who also has wonderful letters after her name, but she can sing them to you later. And I did press record, so we will have this recording available for you. I know tech stuff happens, so if we drop out or you drop out, we'll just come right back and keep going. Consider it a mindful moment. And like I said, we'll send this recording out to you within the next 24 hours as soon as it's ready. All right, so first thing I'd like to do, I know some of you are new to me or new to Molly. Maybe you're new to both of us. Like I said, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in private practice, and I do a lot of training in yoga and trauma recovery here in Oakland, California. Molly is a professional singer. She offers therapeutic singing lessons in her studio and also in the East Bay in Alameda, California. And I've seen her perform. I've had the pleasure of witnessing that and getting the chills from hearing her hit high notes. And we have a funny meeting story
Yes.
with you now. I think we tried to figure this out last time. It was like 20, maybe almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
I think it was 2011, 2010.
So 2010-ish, 2011, somebody forwarded me a Craigslist post that was about yoga and voice lessons in exchange. And I was really interested, but this person ended up being in Rohnert Park. For those of you who know the San Francisco Bay Area, it's like an hour and a half from where I live. So it wasn't feasible for us to meet up, but I got the brilliant idea, so glad I did, to put my own post up and say maybe there's someone closer by who wants to exchange my yoga lessons for their therapeutic voice lessons for their voice lessons. And that's how I found Molly. And I think she was the only person who responded. And we were a little bit like, let's check out each other's websites. Let's find a neutral meeting place. And then it was wonderment at first sight. So I ended up having lots of exchanges, yoga and voice lessons together, and then just becoming dear friends and colleagues. And so I'm very happy to share this treasure, the best thing I've ever found on Craigslist, with you here today. Molly, is there anything I skipped over or didn't mention about you you'd like to share with folks?
So I've got my in-person studio in the East Bay, which I'm working on getting it prepared so that we can safely meet in person again. But I've been doing virtual lessons, which have been just incredible for the last 3 months. So I am available virtually.
Yes, and that's kind of the nice silver lining of everything that's going on is we're able to connect over for their distances.
Yeah.
So today in this workshop, you're going to learn a few things. We're going to talk about the connection between vocalization and trauma recovery. We'll also offer a simple practice for you to help quite literally find your voice and a simple way to release tension. Okay, and from there, we'll do some lovely chants if we have time. The first thing I'd like to offer, those of you who have done webinars with me before, you're familiar with this. The most important thing, especially if we're doing any kind of healing work or going into any area of trauma, is to be aware of what's happening internally and have some kind of positive, neutral anchor points. So the first thing I'll ask you is just to check in with yourself and ask what you need right now. Maybe you need to shut something else off so that you can focus. If there's a TV or radio playing in the background, or your phone is distracting, or something else on the computer. I know when I'm doing a workshop online, those are the things that I really need. I also need water handy. And as I said before, Molly taught me the wonders that rather than clearing your throat, take a sip of water, right? So if we're starting to vocalize and you're feeling, oops, I did it. Do that instead. Okay, so I just modeled the wrong thing as a yoga teacher. No, not
It's
to.
all good.
So what you might need right now is a cup of tea, a glass of water to just get a little bit more snuggled into your environment. And then from there, to check in with what your body's asking for, right? So this again might be a shift in posture. It might be a change in your environment, moving from sitting to standing or vice versa. Getting a little more comfortable with the temperature, opening a window, or allowing yourself to take a deep breath and kind of settle into being here with us. I think it's really important in any kind of healing or therapeutic work to take care of yourself. So all of these things I'm offering are just windows for you to think of, how can I take care of myself? As Molly will share more of later, when you're vocalizing, your voice is your instrument. So we really have to be mindful of that and care for ourselves as an instrument of music, of peace, of healing, and whatever else. So one way I like to intercept tension is to connect with my environment. I often share that I have a plant right behind my computer. So sometimes I'll just take a look at that, take a breath. I'm lucky also to have trees out the window. I remember reading a study years ago that people in hospitals that have a view of nature tend to recover faster. So if you have that opportunity, or if you have indoor plants, you're able to connect with nature, that's a great way to connect with your environment. You can also do a simple kind of scan, look at what you can see, notice what you can hear. I hope it's not too loud for you guys, but I can hear construction on the street. Can you hear that? Little buzz in the background. Someone has a chainsaw in the background. Noticing those things and naming them can be really powerful ways to come to the present. And even in a yoga class, I'm sure many of us have been there, where there's some noise that's really distracting. Sometimes just naming it and having this neutral observation of it can help improve our own experience and keep us connected to what's really happening. So we're not like pushing it away or toning it out, or just kind of being with it in a neutral way. So you can use your eyes, ears, you can ground through your hands, you can use any of that, right? So grounding is a great way to resource your body, using any part of your body that feels safe or neutral. So like I said, pressing hands into the wall or the desk, pressing feet into the floor, sit bones into the chair, back into the chair, using that connection, that tactile, visceral response. But also grounding often is about pushing down, like again, connecting with the earth underneath you. There's some people who say it's earthing, right? Taking your shoes off and putting your feet on the earth actually changes the ion exchange. So you can play with those things just to see what feels like the most support for you. Okay, I have a little picture of some sprouts in the earth to connect us all. In case you are in a building with no windows somewhere, you can also look at a picture, and those images can be really powerful as well. All right, so once you've done your check-in and you've taken some care for yourself, I'm going to talk a little bit about vocalization and trauma recovery. Now, some of you were in our workshop last time we did it, and you remember that I was like, I couldn't find that picture of me and Stephen Porges. Well, I found it. So there it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about Stephen Porges's work in a very small nutshell today. So in terms of the connection between vocalization and trauma recovery, I would say Stephen Porges's work points us in a really important direction. We know in the world of trauma and the nervous system that the autonomic nervous system, this is the kind of automatic response to an emergency. The autonomic nervous system governs whether we go into a sympathetic state, fight or flight, a parasympathetic state, freeze, right? And these two angles, these two activations or deactivations in our system are meant to help bring us to safety, right? So when something traumatic happens, we'll try to fight, we'll try to flee, we'll freeze and stay still to try to skirt the threat. Now, often in the yoga world, you've probably heard people say, this posture, this restorative practice, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. It's all about rest and digest, which is true. The parasympathetic does help us get into that rest and digest state. Judith Hansen-Lassiter, who's a restorative teacher, talks about taking 20 minutes after a meal to just lie down and let the body digest. Have you ever done that, Molly?
More recently, yes.
More recently, right? We have actually the space to do that. Yeah, I noticed too that when I do that, I hear the gurgling happen. I feel like a release, feels like in my adrenals and in my digestive system. So that's a very real response that typically in Western cultures we don't have a lot of time or space for. So yoga will often focus on that, but there's another branch, and this is where Stephen Porges's work comes in. There's two branches, right, of this vagus nerve, or two aspects of it. And the rest and digest state, really positive, healthy, helpful, mammalian. There's also an older software, so to speak, the unmyelinated aspect of the vagus, which would take us into faint or collapse. So parasympathetic does both. What we're looking for in terms of engaging the nervous system is more of a social or mammalian connection. So more along the lines of that rest and digest, right? So we call that a ventral vagal response. And these are, again, words from Porges's work. And the ventral vagal response is what's at play when we're, for those of you familiar with the model, when we're in a window of tolerance, when we're connecting with each other, when we're doing the mammalian thing of getting into groups, problem solving together. And what else do people tend to do when they get into groups together? I don't know, Molly, what do you do when you get into a group with your friends?
Make silly noises.
Right? Silly noises, right? You talk, you gesticulate, you look each other in the eye. Sometimes you sing songs or do dances, and this co-regulation helps bring us into a shared state, right? We're in a shared state in our nervous system, and any nervous system model is going to be oversimplified. We could be a little bit sympathetic and a little bit parasympathetic, and we're connected and we're playing together, right? So I don't want to get too complicated there, but the ventral vagal, that mammalian group connection response, it's about being in tune with each other. It's about being connected. So the simple act of trying to sing something together makes us have to attune to each other, right? Not just through tone or through the sound, but also when are you saying your words? When am I saying mine? Are we on the same, are we rowing our boats together, right? Are we on the same pace? So, and often in this work too, and this is a term that I share a lot, Stephen Porges will talk about having immobilization without fear. So there's that faint collapse, which is immobilization with fear, right? Trying to really protect our life. And then there's being still and resting and digesting and snuggling and connecting and all that oxytocin that comes with that, right? So immobilization without fear, when we're together in a safe way, can have a really powerful imprint and response in our nervous system. So that's what we're going for here. Now, the last thing I'll say about Stephen Porges, and you can see from the pictures, he's like this wonderfully kind man. He really models the ventral vagal response, right? You're like, oh. The last thing I'll say is he has a system called integrated learning systems that's all about the inner ear and how the sound in the inner ear connect to our nervous system state and our overall sense of safety and well-being in the body. So if you're interested in that, you're welcome to look him up, integrated learning systems. But it's interesting, right? There's something about this tone going into the ear that can help shift what we're feeling internally. So that's what we're hoping to tap into a little bit today, allowing you an opportunity. I know it's not always, people sometimes feel scared to speak up or to sing. So we'll give you that opportunity to vocalize and to connect with us virtually, and just notice how that lands for you and how that feels in your body. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Molly and have her help you locate your voice.
Thank you, Lisa. You are such a font of amazing information, and I've learned so much from you in our conversations and reading your books, yay, and taking your courses. So thank you. So here we go. Let's do a little practice. Like she said, let's literally find our voice. So perhaps for some of you, this might be something you haven't really thought about. Like, where is the location of where this sound is created, whether you're speaking or singing or making silly sounds? So let's just check in physically with that spot. So gently bring your hand to the front of your throat and just give a little hum. You can feel that amazing buzzing behind your hand. So behind the skin, behind this protective shield of cartilage, are these two magical vocal folds that vibrate from our breath and generate this sound that is unique to you. Like Lisa said, you are your instrument. It's not external from you like a piano or a violin. Your physical body is your instrument, and Even your spaces inside that create this resonating space is unique to each person. It's so cool to think about. So just take a moment to recognize your unique instrument, your unique sound. So, no matter your age, your profession, what day of the week it is, we're all likely to be using our voices, right? So we're talking on the phone, we're giving webinars, we're, attending meetings on Zoom, raising our voices at protests. So let's take a little moment to connect with our physical expansion outside of these vocal folds as well. So let's see here. Let's go with some ease in finding more ease in our bodies, in our instruments. So there's been a lot of uh, increased constriction, increased tension recently. And we also, a lot of us don't have the same outlets or the same activities you might have had access to previously to kind of express yourself and to release some of that. So just take a moment to kind of notice, and let's bring our attention particularly to the head, to the throat, to the upper body. So we'll focus in on this area right now. So notice just how you feel. So we're not judging it, right, Lisa? We're just checking in with like what's actually there. Do I feel constriction?
Non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental. Like, do I feel tightness? Do I feel pain? Do I feel ease? Do I feel freedom? So just checking in. So, like we did with our voice, our vocal folds, let's think about what's physically in here. So I'll identify just a couple of muscle groups that we can go in and see what's up with them. So let's start with the temporalis. So it's this fan-shaped muscle up in here. It's really quite large. So taking fingertips or knuckles, let's massage the temporalis and just notice how it feels. We're not going for pain here. We're just, massaging at your own pace. Everyone's going to feel a little bit different up in here. So the temporalis is responsible for the movement of the jaw here, our TMJ, temporal mandibular joint. And so when this gets tense, possibly because of stress or, which can lead to grinding teeth, all things like this, just a little massage here can really make a big difference. So taking a moment to massage throughout the day, definitely before you go to sleep. This is going to help to find freedom throughout our instrument because we want to be moving with freedom, with ease when we sing. Let's move down now to the masseter. So if you gently clench your jaw, you can feel it kind of bulge out here. This is the masseter, again with fingertips gently or with knuckles, going with the muscle fibers and against the muscle fibers. Just checking out, how's my masseter feel? Fantastic. So this, again, masseter, mastication, has a lot to do with the movement of our jaw, which, when we're articulating, when we're singing, speaking words, might become a bit constricted or tight. When we find more freedom and ease, we'll find more ease in our voice. So let's continue moving on down here to this cool muscle called the genioglossus. So the genioglossus is responsible for protruding the tongue. It's an extrinsic muscle of the tongue. So just gently place your thumb here, use your forefinger to hook around your chin and give a little upward pressure, making some circles. This is probably a part of your body you've maybe never checked in with before. Like, what does it feel like? Does it feel tight? Does it feel loose? And now, so it's responsible for,
That connects here, and I can't think of one.
yeah. Now we're going to protrude the tongue as you massage so you can feel it engage.
I feel like you're sticking your tongue out at me.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
So that extrinsic muscle is responsible for protruding the tongue. So in the vocal studio, we do a lot of awareness work, a lot of massage throughout the whole body to help find a good foundation, optimal alignment, and ease. And you'll find that your vocal folds are able to move more freely when the apparatus around it is also moving freely. So let's go for making some sounds. So we're going to phonate now. So let's start just nice and easy and fun. I want you to make a low sound for me, everybody. Ah, just a low sound. Ah. Now let's make a high sound. And now let's make a sound like a cat.
Meow.
Meow. And a sound like a ghost. Ooh.
Ooh.
So we're just getting in tune, touching in with our voice, seeing where it's at today because it's different every day depending on how you slept, what you've been eating, how much caffeine you had. All of these things, our voice is going to be very different from day to day. So we're just checking in. Let's do a little call and response now, just for a moment. We're going to do some solfege just to sing out a little more dynamically now. You got it. Mhm. So, let's do some, repeat after me. Do, re, mi, and sing.
Do, re, mi.
Beautiful. Do, re, mi, re, do.
Do, re, mi, re, do.
Oh, lovely, warm. I feel like a hug from Lisa with your voice. So your voice is so full of these tools of expression, and you want to care for your body, and your voice is going to benefit, and you're going to expand your toolbox of expression. So I'm so proud of my online right now, my online voice studio. It's a group of silly, compassionate, interesting people, including Miss Lisa Danylchuk occasionally. And
A cameo every once in a while.
yeah, so I would love for Lisa now to take us into some of these chants. I was loving these chants.
All right. So I actually didn't mention this earlier, but when I originally came to Molly, one of the things I remember expressing as a goal or a reason I was interested in voice lessons was those of you who are yoga teachers, you'll know this. You have those classes where the is just really off, right? Like, or you go in high and everyone comes in low, or something, you're trying to find the right tone. And so that was one of the things was, hey, can you help me figure that out? Like find my own voice in terms of projecting this into the room in a way that, of course, it's not a performance. Like we welcome all voices coming in, however, whatever, but in a way where I felt like I was, holding the space for a resonant So chanting in yoga is one of these ways we can connect the that ventral vagal response and give people an opportunity, especially when we're chanting towards the end of class. There's a lot of tension release that can happen throughout the practice, and then we're able to hopefully release that tension, free the voice a little bit more, and give people an opportunity to speak. I also remember one of my very first yoga classes, I was in the back corner and I still felt like oming was a little strange. It wasn't in my wheelhouse. It wasn't something I had done before. And I remember like, okay, I'll just hum. Okay, now maybe I can open my mouth and say, oh, right? So I remember
Yeah.
that trepidation around it. And I think, when we're teachers, maybe we remember those moments for ourselves. And just to remember that there very likely could be people in the room who are feeling that way too. So Om is a great simple way to chant. We've already done some do re miing. So I'd like to move into a chant which means peace. So Shanti is something you might have heard in the beginning or end of a yoga class. Often someone will chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we'll start by just using our Julia Child's voice, which I learned from Molly.
Oh
And,
yeah, it's nice and high.
right? So if there's something you want to sing, but you're a little bit afraid of it, humming is a great entryway, and speaking in a very emphatic Julia Child's voice can also help you get there. So we'll start with Shanti, and I'll do it in 2 syllables. Shanti,
Shanti.
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 Hand motion. Shanti.
Shanti.
All right, and now we'll bring in more of the yoga tonations. Shanti.
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 Now let's do all 3 together. I'll do call and response again. Shanti. Shanti. Shanti.
Shanti. Shanti. Shanti.
And just notice where that resonated in your own body. Notice how it feels from moment to moment, day to day. And I always like to connect with the meaning of what I'm chanting. So can you invoke or connect with any sense of peace that comes before, during, after that chant? Now we've got one more chant we'll walk through, which is a little more complicated. And this one means, may all beings be happy and free, or may all beings be free of suffering. Okay, so I'll go word by word, starting with the Julia Child's voice. Loka
Loka.
samasta
Samasta.
sukhino
Sukhino.
bhavantu.
Bhavantu.
Try to speak it all together. You've got the words in front of you, so just play along best you can. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
And now we'll chant it word by word. So take a nice easy breath. Remember that freedom of tension, just letting your instrument flow. Loka
Loka
samasta
samasta
sukhino
sukhino
bhavantu.
bhavantu.
And all together, call and response. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Just close together with an Om. So a long breath out, breath in. Om. Beautiful. So those are 2 chants you can use that also I think are relevant to the things that we're all going through, the difficulties we're facing around the world. You can chant for peace, you can free your voice for peace, you can pray for all beings to be happy and free, and you can use these to prepare your voice when you're moving into maybe offering a more detailed message if you're speaking and having a difficult conversation with someone, or if you're speaking to a group, or if you are singing and performing and inspiring people in that way. These are great warm-ups, and they have I don't know, depending on who you are, they might have a little more or less meaning than the do re mi. One runs deep for a lot of singers, I know. So that's our chants, and want to wrap up. We're pretty much at time by just offering you a few opportunities to connect coming up. We will offer this recording so you can repeat it as much as you want. I have one more webinar this month with Christine Forner next Tuesday, the 30th at 11 a.m. We'll do a webinar on transcending collective trauma with dignity and care. So that will be very interesting. She's got some fascinating ideas. There's also an 8-week online training program beginning July 6th. So that's at howwecanheal.com/Y4T. And if you want to keep in touch with Ms. Molly, she's at mollymarymahoney.com, and you can contact her through her website. So I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I'll never close without serious snuggling. So I know some folks are sheltering in place alone, and even something like looking at pictures like this, cute animal photos, can help sort of activate that ventral vagal response. So if you don't have humans around, but you have pets or animals, or if you have the opportunity just to even look at pictures like this, it can help us feel that ventral vagal oxytocin snuggle response, even as we're mostly far away from each other still. Anything else you'd like to add, Molly?
Just thank you, Lisa, and thanks everyone for being here with us online or watching the recording. Please do keep in touch. I want to hear what you thought. Yeah.
All right, everyone, we'll send out the recording as soon as it's ready, and hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.